What would be the number one book you'd recommend to people?
Awareness by Anthony DeMello.
I have never heard of
Awareness
that
by
before.
Anthony DeMello.
Okay.
It's short. He's from Indian descent, and
Okay.
he is a psychotherapist and is a Jesuit priest. He's died in the 70s, I think.
Okay.
And the book Awareness is a synopsis of it's actually from audio that it was a retreat he gave, and they turned it into a book. I heard about this first many, many years ago from a financial guy that was on the Tim Ferriss show.
Who is that?
I can't remember.
Tim Ferriss used to have such good interviews.
Yeah,
I feel like he still does, but they're just all about psychedelics.
I just fell off. I just got into Huberman and Lex Friedman,
Huberman's
and
good too.
I obviously listen to like where do you get your news? I'm Joe Rogan.
Yeah, Joe
Like
Rogan.
that's like my news station. He's like the new Jon Stewart from back in like the show. Where like, where do you get your news? I'm like comedians because it's the only one that can tell it.
You know, with listening to Joe Rogan, you're going to get an unfiltered, unadulterated truth.
But I think also the thing about Joe Rogan, unlike like Walter Cronkite and all these back day, like yes, he has a position, but it's very forward facing.
Yeah.
You know who he is, you know where he's from. So now when he's doing it, there's a level of authenticity to what's being talked about.
Well, and you can change his mind if you prove him wrong.
Right.
And that I think is something that we don't do enough. It's a narrative.
Well, I hope someday to be successful enough that someone calls me problematic. I think that would be a big victory.
That would be a good, yeah.
But read Self-Awareness by Anthony DeMello if you're listening to it. That's one that I give out often. I think it's a book that'll give you 2 to 3 weeks of bliss after you read it, when you realize what you're attached to and like the power of detachment and the actual real work it takes to emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually detach from stuff that's tamping you down and keeping you from enjoying your life. It's brilliant, and it's short. And it's awesome. And then the other, I read Meditations by Marcus Aurelius once a year. Throughout the year, I'll keep reading that through the years. But those are two just like legit go-tos for me.
Yeah, those are.
And I'm writing a journal myself right now,
Ooh, I like it.
which I have to say it out loud as much as possible so people can shame me for not doing it. I need it. Which is I have a spin on a daily journal. It's like 365 days in the desert.
Okay.
Like a modern man's retreat in the desert with the Desert Fathers. It's like I haven't kind of cut on those notes yet, but it's got maxims from like the wisdom of all the Christian mystics, Desert Fathers, and then it's basically like a journal about like rolling that into like how do I have these micro mini retreats in a day before I go into the confront of life.
I like that.
So like I'm building it out.
When's the release date?
I was hoping to get it done by the end of the year. I think I'm on 60 right now of 300. I'll do 366 for the leap year on there, and I think I might have. There's a chance I have a publisher that's interested, but I'm like, let's take it easy.
There you go.
I want to make sure I finish
Yeah.
this with some. I've never done anything like that before, but
That's cool.
yeah. So that might be the next one I read. I'll be one of those like
Yeah.
evangelists of your own stuff kind of.
No, Marcus Aurelius' Meditations are really good. There was a time where I started studying philosophy a little bit, or Stoic philosophy a little bit, and a friend of mine pointed out to me. He goes, "Who's the greatest philosopher of them all?" I'm like, "Who was the greatest philosopher of them all?" He's like, "What's the number one read book in the world?" Bible, right? I'm like, "Oh, Jesus, yeah." He's like, "Okay, have you read every book of the Bible?" Actually, I don't think I have. I've read a lot of them, but there's many that I've read a bunch of times, but I don't think I've ever read, cover to cover the Bible. And so he's like, "Okay, well, why do you need to study philosophy when you haven't even studied the greatest philosopher of them all?" I'm like,
Gotcha.
"Okay, fair enough." So I started, going through, every book of the Bible, and not saying that I think where Stoic philosophy really plays a good role is if you have something spiritual to marry it with, because by itself it's very empty, right? But if you can marry that with a spiritual lens.
That's why I do the Ryan Holiday's Daily Stoic,
And that's his book.
why
Yep, I've got that too.
And I've gone through 4 years of it, and that's why I'm doing mine. I'm like, I have to put my own Christian bent on it, and then also it's like I always, why are you writing it this way? It's because before Jesus did anything confrontational, look a few passages back, and then he went out to the desert, and then he went out alone on a mountaintop, and then he went out into this how often do we do that? We're never alone. We're always stimulated. We're doing that. So I'm like, well, if we can build that in, we're going to be better off for it when it happens.
So I can't wait for that. We're going camping next weekend in Michigan, and that's my place once a year. There, Montana, but this year it's Michigan, and can't wait to just.
I'm heading out to Estes Park, Colorado, in a few weeks, right there for 4 days to do a freedom summit with about, I think there's like 60 to 80 guys with a group called Exodus 90 that are going to be out there, and I'm a very unequipped for the role I have, which is shepherding people from the Denver airport up to Estes Park, which hopefully I'll tell some jokes along the way and not careen us into a valley or something like that. And then we're doing a fire. I think I'm doing a form of fireside chat about work and faith in one of the evenings right there. But it's gonna be similar. It's gonna be like, oh, hey, it gets to 68 during the day and like 30 at night up in the mountains. So